paper or the top of our pattern paper and measure 3 inches and measure 5 inches. On the 5 inches mark, you go down by 1 inch and then you join your lines together like so. And then on that mark, my shoulder length is 14.5 divided by 2. I have 7.25 plus 0.5. That will be my length. But what I'm going to do is, on the mark that I ruled at the beginning, like on the slant, I'm going to measure my shoulder length. All right, so since the first part is already 3 inches, the remaining part is going to be 4.25, because 7.25 minus 3 is 4.25. So I'm going to measure 4.25 on that slant, and then I'm going to then draw my armhole, which is a 7.75. That is 7.25 plus 0.5. If you have any problem with this, please, you can always check my previous video on how to draw a full pattern. Is exactly the same thing. The only difference is that there will be a bust allocation and this pattern stops at the waist. All right, so after I draw my chest line, which is where my armhole stops, I'm going to put in my bust apex, that is from the length from my shoulder to my bust, and then I put in my under bust line, and then I put in my waistline. All right, so now I have all the lines. I don't know why my husband did that. Just ignore his big face. All right, that's a image for you, babe. All right, moving on, I'm going to just draw in my under bust line right there. Then after that, I'm going to draw in my waistline immediately after. So we have our chest line. The first line is chest, the next line is bust, the next line after that is under bust, and the next line after that is waist. And how did I get all these measurements? By measuring from my shoulder to each of these positions on my body. So that is the length, or the vertical length, throughout all of them. All right, so the next thing is to put in my bust span, that is the span from my nipple to the other nipple, and that is 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5 inches from the edge of my paper. Then after this, what we're going to do is to do something called the bust allocation. All right, so my bust measurement is 36 inches. So what I'm going to do is take 36, divide that into 2. When I divide 36 into 2, I'm going to have 18 inches. Now for that 18 inches, I'm going to add 1 for the front and then subtract 1 for the back. So 18 plus 1 will give me 19 inches for the front, because you have your bust, so you have to allocate extra inches for the front. So that 19, I divided it into 2 and then I had 9.5, and I marked 9.5 not just on the bust line but also on the waistline, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to just join those two points together down up to my chest line, and this is where we're going to work a little bit of magic on our waistline. So our waistline normally is 27 divided by 4, and 27 divided by 4 is supposed to give us 6.75. So now we have 6.75, and we're going to subtract the bust measurement, which is 9.5, from 6.75. We got 9.5 by doing 18 divided by 2, which is 9.75. We're going to subtract that, and we have a difference of 2.75. That is the amount of that we are going to take away from the waist. Why? Because we want it to be a straight line from the chest down to the waist. Now my intern taught me something and I want to apply it now. I don't do my tape rule like this because I feel like it will just ruin the tape rule. But anyways, I just folded my tape rule into 2 to get the exact midpoint of 2.75, and I shared that on equal sides of both of them. That is 1.375 on both sides of my waistline for the dart. All right, so I'm going to repeat this same thing again for my under bust, and the only difference is that my under bust, the excess is a little bit smaller. So instead of taking 1.375, I just took 1.25 on my under bust line. That is because I just subtracted 7 from 9.75. My under bust line is 28 divided by 4, which is 7. I subtracted it and I just add a difference of 1.25 on either side, which is 2.5 in total. I hope I did not rush that information. Please, if you have any question, don't forget to ask me in the comment section below. All right, so the next thing is to take my bust dart. My bust dart is a total of 1.5 inches because I measured from the top of my shoulder to waist at the front and also for the back. So for the front, I had a total of 17 inches, and sorry, yeah, for the front I had a total of 17 inches, and for the back I had a total of 15.5 inches. That means 1.5 inches is missing, or 1.5 missing for the back, and that is why I'm going to take that 1.5 inches away from my bust line. If it was a total of just 1 inch, I'm just going to take 1 inch away from my bust line. So I am taking 1.5 inches from my bust line, and that is about 0.75 on both sides of the line. So I took 0.75 at the top, 0.75 at the back, and I joined this that 0.5 inches away from my bust point. Now for my armhole, I took the middle of my armhole, or the line, and then I joined the edge to that point, and then joined the curve to the other side. Okay, so after doing this part, the next thing is to draw for the back, to draw my pattern for the back. So I'm just extending all the lines, even though I'm not going to use exactly these lines for the front and back. Remember, why am I not using these lines? Because first of all, I don't have an under bust at the back. Second of all, my back is shorter than my front, so the length of the back is shorter than the length of the front. So I'm not going to use exactly these lines for my back. Okay, so after extending all the lines, I'm just going to draw it again for the back. That is my zipper allowance that I put there, zipper allowance of 1 inch. All right, so my voice is taking a break in transmission now. See you soon, or hear my voice again soon. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Remember that for the bust allocation for the back, we subtracted 1 from 18. So that means we're going to have 17 inches divided by 2 now for the back. Now, our bust line is not going to be on the same line as the front because, like I said, our back is shorter. So I'm just going up 1 inch above my bust line, just 1 inch. And then on that 1 inch mark, that's where I'm going to have my 17 divided by 2. And also I also reduced the 1.5 inch. I took away the 1.5 inches because the length of the back is 15 inches and it's not as long as the front. So I went up, and that's my new waistline, and this is my new bust line. Okay, so 1 inch above the bust line for the front and 1.5 inches above the waistline for the back, based on your measurement, on your own measurement. But for the front, a standard of 1 inch above your front bust line is okay as your new bust line for the front. Now on the new bust line, I'm going to then do 17 divided by 2, which is 8.5. And then on my waistline, I'm still going to take the same 8.5, but I'm first of all going to go in with my zip, what do I call it, the waist that prevents zip bulge. That's I take that 0.5 away. So I'm going to measure the same 8.5 that I measured on my bust line, and I'm also going to measure that same thing on my waistline, and then I'm going to join the 2 points together. All right, so the next thing is I'm going to calculate how much deficit is left on the waist. Remember, I used exactly the same thing on the bust line for the waistline. So the bust line is 8.5. I'm going to subtract my 0.5 that I removed for my zip bulge, and then I have 8 left, and 8 minus 6.75 is 1.25. Now that is the amount of that I need to take away from my waistline. So I take my bust span measurement, which is 3.5. I join the 2 points together, and then I split 1.25 into 2, and I measure that on both sides. So I measure like 0.675 or something like that, about that, on either sides of my dart, for my waist dart for the back. Now I'm just going to join it 0.5 inches away from the bust line, and then here I have my dart for the back. And then the next thing is to draw my armhole for my back, and that is, I take the middle of it, and then I just draw a curve to meet my bust line, just like that, and that is what I have. Okay, so the curve is supposed to meet my chest line on my bust line. I don't know why I did it that way. Maybe I was sleeping, or I was sleep drawing, forgive me for that. So the curve is supposed to eat the chest line, not the bust line. All right, so I just drew my neckline for the back and for the front. Remember, just 1 inch down and draw it, and that is what you have. So now I want to cut the pieces to get the interesting part, which is the dart manipulation part. I want to show you how you can move your darts around, especially move your bust dart around, because some people don't like to have bust darts in their dresses. In fact, a lot of dresses don't have bust darts. So this is the way they get rid of bust darts, so that it moves to other parts around the body. It can move from the bust to the waist, from the bust to the chest, or from the bust to the armhole. Remember that all these the parts I'm shading out are the darts. They're not going to be part of your dress itself. So that is why I am cutting out this dart. When I cut out the dart, you see that it already brings out the shape of the bust. Do you see what happened when I removed the bust dart? It brings out the shape of the bust. That's exactly what we are going for. That is why there's a bust dart there, to accommodate the shape of that bust. Now, for example, if you want to make a princess dart, for example, a princess dart, you just draw that curve from the middle to meet your bust line, and then you close that and open your princess dart line. Okay, so I'm going to just show you what I just said, because I feel like I'm speaking Greek or something. All right, so what you do, I have to get a masking tape right now, and then I'm just going to close that bust dart, so I don't have a bust dart at all in my dress. I have just eradicated my bust dart, and I'm going to then cut open my princess seam line. Oh, my hair is covering it. I just want to show you how beautiful my hair is. By the way, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so I opened that up, and you see you have your princess seam, just like that. Your princess seam, all you have to do is just cut all that place open. Now I'm going to close that princess seam again and move my dart from the princess seam. I'm moving it to my shoulder. If you want to have a shoulder dart instead of a princess seam dart, or instead of having a bust dart, so I find the middle of my shoulder, and then I just draw a line to meet my bust line again. So all these lines are meeting your bust line. Okay, and then I'm going to cut out my shoulder line, and voila, you have yourself a shoulder dart. All right, so that is how we can move our darts all around the pattern. This is a very interesting reason to make a pattern instead of like cutting your dress directly on your fabric. Okay, so now we see that we have this shoulder pattern now, just like that. This is my shoulder pattern, just like that. And if I wanted a princess pattern instead, I just joined those two sides of my paper together, and you see now I will have my princess seam pattern. Okay, I hope you get the points that I'm trying to make. So that is how you do your dart manipulation, and voila, you have your princess seam dress, and your bustier, or your cup, your bust part will look so nice and very beautiful with this pattern. And that is how you do your bust manipulation, or your dart manipulation, I mean, for the front. For the back, I also want to show that you can also have your dart manipulation for the back. All right, so I'm just cutting out my zip bulge line. So from my new bust line, I just take a line to my zip bulge removal dart, or whatever it is that I can call it. I don't know what to call it right now. I just forgot the name that I always usually call it. All right, so I'm just going to cut out my pattern now and show you how to apply that manipulation for the back as well. Okay, so for the darts at the back, you see that we are going to remove that part of the dart, so you can always cut it open and shift that dart to your princess seam line or to your shoulder line, however it is that you want it. So I am cutting my dart now and closing it up. You see that it has a little slope or a little curve for your back. That's the usefulness of that dart, just to fit your back in a better way, or to get the fabric sitting very well on your back. So now if you want to make it a shoulder dart, all you have to do is or you want to make it a princess dart, all you have to do is close your seam at your waistline and then open up your princess line, just as I am doing it like that. I close that up, and you see there is an ease there. Okay, so you can always you can always eradicate your darts at the bottom and move it to the princess seam, or eradicate your darts at the bottom and move it to the shoulder seam, anyhow you like. So I hope that you understood this whole process of moving from your of moving your dart around your pattern to make your fabric even look more distinct. You can move it anywhere you like. You can move your that dart to the the front side, you can move it to the side, you can move it all around. It's like a nice, a nice trick to put your dart wherever it is you like. And I'm also showing you the length of my front and the back. You see, when I removed my front dart, you see that the front and the back are now approximately the same length on the side. If you have enjoyed or learned from this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Thank you for your time. Bye.